What is up, everybody? Welcome back to I1 Entertainment. My name is Sandy. We are here with a contestant from iSurvivor38 Milan, Sam Yu. He is part of the Amatista tribe. Spill your thoughts. If I have questions that I'm probed by based on what you say and stuff, we'll play it by ear, okay?
Sure. All right, so I'm gonna kind of start from the beginning, just based off of like initial cast assessments, kind of what I've thought so far, etc. Um, so seeing this cast reveal, it started off kind of bleak. I was like, I don't like this so far because there are a lot of connections. Then it got a little better, and then it kind of got worse. But it's like I'm in the air. I want to say I know specifically probably about half the cast, which I'm not a fan of. Obviously, when I come into games, I like to treat games as new, which is what I think a lot of people should, but a lot of people don't do that. And yes, that's shade to people. So I want to kind of go through who like I know, how I feel about them, etc. So I think I'll save my tribe for the end. So I'm gonna start. Okay, Rubino tribe. The only one that I really know from this tribe is Marcelo. I've hosted Marcelo. I don't think I've really played with Marcelo in a game that I can recall. Maybe that was a serious game. I can't remember. But I definitely know how Marcelo is. He can definitely be a little messy. And he's really connected to some of these other people, which I think concerns me. I don't think I necessarily have a bad relationship with anybody that I know, so I think like that's fine, but I'm not here to play Friendviver. Like that's not who I am. So if I have to like break up friendships and people get mad at me for that, are they really your friend? No. So I'm definitely not afraid to do that. I think it's just kind of I navigate as kind of things come up, so I'm just trying to figure out that. But Marcelo is somebody that I know and I've hosted. From the Perla tribe, I've hosted Emily, Juan, and Sam, and I've played a game with Bill. Basically, know that whole tribe, which I was like, Emily didn't last long in the game that I hosted her in, but I've also like, she's also kind of messy as well. It depends on like where you're at with her. I know she like goes off of like loyal. And these are just kind of my insights on what I've seen. Juan, I just hosted with Julia, actually. We just finished that game last week. And Juan is, I will say that he fights very, very hard. He's very committed to games, which I really enjoy. And I think that he also can be a pretty loyal player, but he's also very like sneaky in the background. He will do what it takes to like get further, even if it means cutting off his like allies or so. Sam, I knew there was going to be another Sam. I didn't think it was going to be Sam Duncan though. Just based off of like Sam Yu in my cast photo. But I really enjoy Sam. I think she's a very like quietly strong player, if that makes sense, where like you don't necessarily think that there's like she's necessarily a threat or something, but there's always a lot going on with her. That I feel like when I say a lot going on, like she is like really in the game. She gets invested and she knows like she's plotting on how to kind of like also find her way and find her rhythm. And so she's someone that like I think that I would probably work well with. I think the majority of this is going to depend on obviously how much we swap or get to kind of work together, because I know like a lot of people tend to kind of stick with some of those pre-merge connections as well. So hopefully I get to kind of be on a tribe with Sam, because I would really like to explore that. And kind of see what that brings. Bill, I played in a game. It was like a long time ago. It was like an editing game. It was like a movie thing where you had actors and producers and directors or whatever. And I was one of the ones that was like video editor. And Bill was an actor, so I didn't really like. It wasn't like a social strategic game. It was just more of like a creative game. But Bill is definitely like. I think he's very charismatic, which is definitely helping in these games for sure. So I don't know, just some like interesting insight. I think it's funny that I know a lot of the Perla tribe. And then what is it, Zafiro? I like that name, by the way. The two people I know here are Rachel and Maddie. So Rachel kind of connects to Marcelo. Maddie, I feel like, connects to Sam. And those duos I think can connect to each other in some way, which is I think the more concerning part that I have with them. Um, Rachel, I've hosted in actually a bunch of games now. And I don't think I've necessarily played with her, but I know that she can be very a little she's very like I think she will definitely be someone to kind of use their friendship. She's not afraid to do that. And so that is concerning to me. And then Maddie, I've never really interacted with, but I know we're in kind of similar group chats. And I think I've played like video games or like other games with him before. But I know him and Sam have a good relationship, if I remember correctly. So I think it'll be interesting to just see like how these people that know each other navigate that. I'm really hoping that some of them get knocked out early and I don't have to do anything about that because that would make it a lot easier for me. And then we have my beautiful tribe. So I know Julia, I just hosted Julia in SOL and with Juan. And she is definitely a firecracker. I love her. She has this like I feel like for her, she's very much one of those that tries to keep a low profile in the beginning and just kind of like will be someone to be like, oh, just don't let me out type of thing. And then if she like gets kind of through on to the later game, she kind of like turns it on a little bit. So I think she is definitely someone that also though can be loyal to the people up front. And her and I so far, like we haven't ever really played a game together. I would say that I'm probably connecting with her the most. I mean, obviously, is it natural because we have kind of that history of knowing each other? Yes, but also I'm not gonna lie, I feel like my tribe is a little bit on the quieter side. So it's kind of like I don't have much to go off of yet from some of these other people. So it's definitely nice to have a little bit of that with Julia already. Gigi and I have played a game before. If I remember correctly, so we really didn't work together. I don't know what it was. Our conversations just didn't vibe, which is fine. So I'm definitely trying to like see if something happens this game. Totally open to kind of that to see. But she's been probably one of the people that I've been the most inactive so far on the tribe. I mean, the tribe's quite itself, but and I know she said she had a wedding to go to, so there's something there, but um I know she hasn't really done much yet. So I'm trying to see what's going on there. And then I is it Sheed? I think that's how you pronounce the name. Sheed? I think so.
You're right.
Okay. Um he's been around the community for a while. I think he's been around since like I joined in, which is like in 2018. Um, so I've seen the name before. I don't think I've ever hosted or played, but I know of him. So it was nice to kind of have that connection point. He pointed that out right away. He's like, I've seen you around before. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if that's good or bad. But I definitely I want to kind of connect with him more. I think he's definitely up there with Gigi in my mind as to the people that I've been a little bit least in like active with me. But he did say that like this was his first real Discord game, and I definitely had similar like experience with that. I think this is my second Discord game. I haven't played a lot of Discord games before, but my first one, I also kind of people definitely targeted me a little bit earlier because they didn't think I was active, but it was more of like I had Discord and Pro Boards, which was my first time doing either of them. And so it was definitely a struggle. So in this game, I'm like, oh no, not this two again. So I definitely will probably connect with you a little bit more on Pro Boards because that was a little bit more scarring on the last game that I did because the confessional of not mine, but somebody else's got leaked. So I'm like, I don't want that to happen to me. So I was always very paranoid about Pro Boards. But I don't know. I want to connect more with Sheed. I think there's something there that I'm interested in. So hopefully there's some more conversation for sure. Jess seems pretty cool, pretty nice. I haven't really had deeper conversations yet, and I'm sure that a lot of people are still kind of on that like niceties type of thing, but I can see potential there. John is also someone that I've been talking to a little bit. We just started talking about Drag Race, which is definitely something that I'm very into. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think starting off okay. I mean, it's obviously very early. curious to see how we're going to do in this challenge. I'm a little nervous because I feel like people are busy and just kind of like doing their own thing. And I hope that we can all like come together at some point and like talk a little bit more about the challenge or like our strategies going into it, whatever, predicting whatever it could be. But that's kind of where I'm at with like cast assess initial thoughts. But I'm really kind of excited to see where we go from here. I don't necessarily feel in danger. Hopefully I'm not jinxing myself here on this tribe just yet. I like I said, I think in my confessional a little bit, I could see myself taking on a little bit more of a leadership role, trying to like rally troops, trying to, give us the good fight in the challenges so we don't have to go to tribal. But I'm not trying to do too much. They don't want to be like a target. I think that's definitely something that I want to work on. I've been known to like take leads and take it, in with tribes and stuff. And I don't want to do that as much, but it's so hard because it's like naturally just want to do well. So I definitely want to kind of like step in and like direct if need be, but we'll see. But overall, like I think the cast is fun. I'm really excited about it. I love a good mix of people. The connections I think scared me at first, but like talking through it now, I think naturally some of them will go, which will happen. And I think that for me, it's just a matter of navigating with, again, who I feel good with. And I'm trying to just like, as I do with all my games, I want to keep a clean slate. I don't like just working with the same people over and over or anything like that. So I'm just trying to see kind of what happens and go from there. But I think those are kind of my initial thoughts on the tribe. If y'all have any questions for me, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I definitely have a question, and especially when I used to play, because I was a big orger whilst hosting. Then I took a nice survivor break, and ever since we came back after or during the pandemic, I've definitely played a whole lot less. So it doesn't happen obviously as recently, but back in the day when I used to play, there would be so many people that I knew because I either hosted them in a mini, they played iSurvivor, they played my Big Brother game, or they were part of the community somehow, so I knew them.
Right.
How do you plan to like, and you might have sort of answered this as you were talking about people, but let's just do it for the sake of the confessional. How do you plan to mitigate, people confiding in you, wanting to align with you just based off of, oh yeah, Sam, you posted me, I love you, ooh, blah blah. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you plan to mitigate that and keep your aim and your goal at the forefront, which is winning?
Right. I think for me, a lot of the times, if I've had happened in the past, or kind of what I do is, obviously I'm not one to ever say no. So like I'm gonna kind of go with the flow. And like if they're like, yes, let's work together, I'm like, great. Who else can we get in? Or how does that work? Most of the time I try to, if I have like different sides or whatever, because I've definitely been someone to play a lot either in the middle or the bottom. And I don't think I've never really had a lot of experience playing from like the top. I don't know why. But the middle or the bottom seems to be where I kind of generally find myself in. So I think this comes more into play with playing in the middle. I think the biggest thing is just to kind of like align what I want with kind of like with those alliances. Obviously being subtle about it. I'm not going to be one that's like pushing overtly for like a name necessarily. I guess in the beginning, I definitely want it to be a little bit more smoother or make it seem like it's somebody else's idea. But I think just like aligning the goals of what I want with who the people that want to work with me want as well. I think that's going to be important. Whether it's, targeting certain people or, wanting to like get to a certain point together or whatever. I think that's going to be important. At the end of the day, like I will always want to do what's best for me. I've definitely been someone, I have burned friendships before. Like I said, are they really friendships if they get pissed over a game? No. I have been someone to like snake some people, take some heat for it. But at the end of the day, like that's the game. Like that's the name of the game. There's going to be some deception. There's going to be that. So I definitely am not afraid to get a little dirty, but I try to not do it as like messy. I try to keep things a little bit nice and clean if I can. But I think that's the main gist, like aligning the goals, not saying no, and then like trying to see like if I have to cut someone somewhere, like it's gonna have to happen, unfortunately. Does that, it might will cost me a jury vote in the end? I mean, that's kind of the question, but at the same time, like I will always be prepared to like have answers for things, and I will just explain myself, and whether they accept it or not, I think, I'm okay with that.
No, let's talk about the day one opening, Rocky's big debut, revealing the tribes, the bunker, 24 people. What do you think of the fortune teller? Y'all picked items this morning. Someone from your tribe is currently there. Thoughts on that part of the twist?
I think that's interesting. It very much sounds kind of like an exploration thing, which I've done in different games before. So I'm kind of excited to dive into it. Obviously, I don't have much to think yet because I haven't gotten to go. Hopefully I get the chance to go. Who knows? But I think that'll be interesting to see how it comes into play, or what people find down there, or what's down there specifically. Hopefully there's some bad things so people who are going that aren't me get those things. But at the end of the day, I think it can definitely cause some paranoia because especially for those early people that go, they can obviously, I don't know, say as much or as little as they want, and it could all be fabricated or not. And so I think that's going to be a real test to see, like, because I think John is going for my tribe, so I think I have a pretty decent relationship with John. He was definitely one of the first people I think I started connecting with since yesterday. So hopefully he tells me something about it, or like I want to make sure it comes in the conversation at some point, but not like me trying to probe. I want it to come in naturally. So that's going to be my goal with John, is figure out if he will tell me anything about it. But I think it'll be interesting to see how it kind of affects the game. Obviously, I think there's still a lot of like unknown and mystery to it. So yeah, I think obviously more will be evolved as we get as more people go into with the fortune teller.
Perfect. Thank you. And the second big twist of the season, which is definitely more out in the open. You already know the ins and outs of this one.
Yeah.
Not knowing you're losing until the lights in the bunker are generated. How do you think that's going to play into this pre-merge phase of the game?
So for me, I'm not necessarily mad at the twist. I think it can be brutal to some people. You got to understand, I come from like the messenger community, so those are my roots, where I played a lot of games on Facebook. A lot of the times you have tribe, or you have the challenge, and you have tribal like an hour after. So I'm used to the quick scrambling, quick getting a plan together. If something falls through, or trying to plan beforehand, if somebody wins immunity, trying to go next, think of something else. So I think I should be okay with that. I think for me, a lot of the focus is going to be having a plan beforehand, figuring out what happens. If we lose, this is what we should do. If we don't, we're okay. Save it for another day, type of thing. That's going to be how I tackle that aspect. I think some of these people will get a little paranoid about it. I love Miss Julia Brown, but I feel like she can kind of sometimes be someone who gets a little either like all over the place type of thing. So I'm hoping that like, if we continue like how our conversation's going, I definitely see myself working with her. Definitely trying to rein that in, and hopefully like keep the paranoia low. I think a lot of people might, struggle with that depending on what games they played or where they've come from. But yeah, so that's kind of my focus, is just making sure that I have these like plans in place beforehand, or at least have kind of like an idea of what we want to do, and then solidify that after, so there's not a lot of scrambling. I also think the benefit to that is hopefully the 20 minutes is not enough time for people to like brew up something else, or like try to blindside. I mean, it's possible, but hopefully I'm not on like the receiving end of like those plans. So I think that can be a little scary, but I think just having those like plans beforehand, I think would solidify a lot of good faith or trust in people. And so I'm hoping to do that initially to kind of start that.
Awesome. So you mentioned earlier in your confessional, this is I think my last question for now,
There you
unless
go.
Rocky has any, but you mentioned a lot about the people you know in the cast and if you played with them or hosted them. Where do you think Ametista stacks up in your ability to, and again, it's very early, it's less than 24 hours of knowing these people, but where do you think on this first, impression, where does your team stack up? How do you think you compare to the strength of the others?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't really thought of that. I'm not sure. I want to say, like, since it's four tribes, right? Hoping that the best case scenario is three tribes are safe and one is not. Obviously, I don't think that's going to be for everyone. I think it could be something where two tribes are safe, two are not, only one is safe, especially because you have 24. I'm assuming you're going to want to knock out some people early on. That's my guess from a hosting perspective. But, anyways, I don't know. I think what makes me nervous is just the fact that it has been a little quiet. So that does concern me. I get it. I think, Julia expressed having going to a wedding, Gigi's at a wedding, Jess was working last night, she being his first game on Discord. There's a couple of things that play a factor, but I think just in terms of previous games, what I've done, definitely a little bit more of a quieter start than I'd like. Definitely was hoping to have a little bit more of an active tribe. So I'm really curious how the other tribes are in that aspect. I think that can be an indication of what's to come. But I'm hoping like if whatever like worst case scenario, like if we have to like I said, if I have to rally the troops and try to like be kind of more of that leader role, I will do it. I will do what I can to keep the tribe safe. And hopefully like people look at that as like he's valuable, we need him, or like also like he's trying to keep us safe, someone I want to work with type thing. That's most of the time what I hope for in doing that. But also I'm competitive. Like I want to fucking win these things. Like I am definitely someone who will play for myself, but also help others if I can. And so I don't know. I mean, I think this first challenge, it's different because I can't really like obviously we can help with each other with notes and things, but I can't be there obviously to help with whatever the part two is. It's all individual. So that I think is going to be the biggest thing in hoping that everyone gets to do their part. I think I had a little bit of a panic attack earlier because I thought it was due today, but it's due tomorrow. I can't read apparently, but that's okay. So I feel better about that we have some more time. So hopefully some people like take their notes, do their homework, so to speak, and then we can come out on top tomorrow. I think whatever happens tomorrow is going to be a good indication of what's to come in terms of results for the challenge. So, but I think I feel okay for right now. Even if we were to lose, like I said, I don't, knocking on wood, I don't necessarily feel the most in danger, but obviously I don't want to lose.
To end your first confessional, if tribal council was taking place right now, who would your vote be going towards?
Ooh. At the moment, I would ultimately want to do what I can to keep the tribe strong. And for me, communication is a big thing. So, like, I would probably have to do Gigi. I don't think she's communicating to a lot of people. Julia also kind of told me, she's like, "Have you heard from Sheed or Gigi?" And at the time, I hadn't heard from Sheed yet, but I said no. So, if they're also not talking to me and Julia, I'm assuming they're not talking to others. Hopefully, I'm correct in that assumption. So I think Gigi is someone that I would probably vote for right now. Unfortunate, but I want the tribe to be strong. And if you're not like in it, I can't assess if that makes sense. I can't assess where she's gonna be, useful in the tribe.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add? Or Rocky, I know Rocky's with family, babysitting nieces and nephews, but if you want to jump in and ask a question, Rocks, now is your time.
Now's the time.
No, I don't think so. Sam was like very thorough. I guess if I had to ask anything, you mentioned a lot and talked kind of a lot about connections that you know? What about connections that you don't know? Like, how does Sam plan to use those to the best of your ability?
Yeah, I think I've always been someone that I like to play with not as connected cast because it gives everyone kind of that like fresh, clean slate, hopefully. And what I mean by that is that like if they don't know other people and I don't know other people, like, you know, clean slate. But there's other people. I'm very excited to get to know people that I don't know. That's why I've been trying to, I think, focus on John and Jess a little bit for me because I have a little bit of knowledge of the others. Like I want to get to know these new people. Like who are you? Like, you know, wanting to get to know them to the core and see how they can fit in my game. So I'm definitely someone to get to know or wanting to get to know a lot of these people. So I think that's kind of exciting, especially with these other tribes. Um, you know, some of those people that I don't know. So yeah, I think I'm always open to wanting to get to know people and wanting to see where it fits. And sometimes if the conversation flows, it flows. If it doesn't, doesn't probably means that not gonna, you know, kind of work with you long term, so to speak. But yeah, so I'm kind of excited. Definitely lots of some faces that I've also seen before but have never really interacted with. So excited to just kind of like figure all that out and see where I fit in, hopefully in the long term of this game, because I want to keep going. But yeah.
So just one more question. Since you know, like you said, you know of like half the cast either by hosting them or playing with them in some capacity, you know a lot of, like you mentioned earlier, like from what you know, Marcelo can be a little messy, and Emily
Right.
can be a little messy. You know, how Bill can be in certain situations. Will you be using or try to use like the connections that you don't know to make sure that those people are taken care of, so that you don't like really have to like stick it to them? You can like use those other connections to like get those people out, so you can kind of like don't have to deal with that kind of stuff.
That's normally the goal. It's like if other people can take care of it for me, great. Obviously, and up until a point where like if I need to start taking care of people myself for my resume or trying to, you know, show people that like I am doing something, sure. But ultimately, yes. I mean, I'm not someone to be like, oh, well, you gotta watch out for this person because they're messy and that's their reputation type of thing. I'm not someone to do that and influence in that way. I think like I try to use clues within this game to be like, you know, they did this, this, and this so far. That could mean that they're messy, trying to tie it into what I know about them. So I'm not just gonna like start spreading all this shit about people because that's not like me. But you know, if something in the game happens that kind of leads to the kind of what I know about them, then that's where I'm going to be like, okay, this is kind of confirming what I know type of thing. How can I use that to like my advantage or to get them out or whatever it is?
Okay. That is it for me. Um, how are you enjoying yourself so far, I guess?
Yeah, I'm having fun. Definitely. I I think I finished my hosting my game last week, or like the week before actually. So last week it was kind of just like nothing happening for me. So I was kind of a little bored. So I was very excited for this to kind of like start and happen. So far I'm excited. I want to get into it more. This challenge is, I think, interesting. It wasn't something that I expected. I'm really hoping for a creative challenge. I am a creative, like that is my jam. I know there's not a ton in orgs anymore. People don't like them. Whatever. I love creative challenges. So I'm hoping there's a video challenge of some sort so that I can like flex my muscles a little bit and show what I can do. That's normally a good challenge, I think, for me to show that like one, I can be a leader and two, like produce hopefully a good quality content to keep us safe. So I'm hoping for a video challenge. So if you don't have that written in, write it in. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but yeah, no, I'm having fun, ready to kind of get more into it. I think this weekend was obviously a slower start, which is fine. But I'm just kind of ready to kind of get the ball rolling with what happens after the challenge, whatever the first tribal is. And then I think that'll kind of set in that it's like more real taken off type of thing, and then kind of getting more into it. So yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I said, that's it for me. I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself. And again, thank you for playing.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Mhm. Super excited to see you flourish in this game, Sam. This was a great first confessional, and here's to many more.
Yes, many more.